Hey guys, Will or Lolio here, and today I want to talk about some recent news, and that's that Tanaan Jungle, one of the zones in Draenor, is no longer going to be a full-fledged zone at launch. So previously, Tanaan served as both the introductory experience, where you go through the Dark Portal level 90 if you boost a character, or if you just do anything right now at level 90. To go to Draenor, you have to go through the Tanaan experience, which I made a video on, and I actually think that is one of the best starting experiences in any expansion ever. And that's still going to be intact, and that's still going to exist. It's already in the beta. But Tanaan Jungle was also thought to be a high-level, level 100 only zone, similar to Veil of Eternal Blossoms in that regard, where you would level up through all the other zones, and then you would have some max level content in this final zone, and this made sense with it being the main citadel of the Iron Horde. Community manager Lore tweeted today that Tanaan has been delayed and will be implemented in a content patch later on in the expansion. Now, I want to clarify that there are still going to be level 100 areas. Most zones have specific sub-zones dedicated for outdoor level 100 content, like there's many things in Frostfire Ridge, in Shadowmoon Valley, and a variety of other zones. I believe Talador has some stuff near Shatrath that is for level 100 characters, but there is no fully max level zone at launch. So obviously, this is pretty disappointing. It's not just Tanaan that has been cut. I mean, so many things have been changed since BlizzCon and cut from the expansion. The expansion appears to just keep shrinking in scope. I assume to release it more quickly, even though it's still going to come out way too late. I mean, we're looking at a late October, November release at best at this point, which is quite unfortunate with all the cut features. I mean, just to list off some of them, we've had many garrison features have been cut, like being able to move your garrison to any zone, being able to rename your followers, which isn't really that big of a deal to me, but to some people it was. Building specializations, right, more customization for each building in the garrison. Racial architecture, people wanted all the various races to have their own unique stuff. We weren't really promised that, or that we never really assumed we would get that. It was always on a wish list, so I can't hold that one against them too much. New models, right? We are getting new models, but we're not getting any new customization options, really. They're basically only what we have updated, which is what it was promised to be, but a lot of people really wanted more customization on them. Maybe not like body sliders, but just things we could do, like maybe, more skin colors, more facial options, more features overall. And we're still having a lot of issues with same face, even though they've said they will fix it. Right now that hasn't really been apparent. Other things that have been cut, Trial of the Gladiator, which was replaced with skirmishes, so they did kind of take something out and replace it. Trial of the Gladiator was mentioned at BlizzCon as this new PvP system, but apparently they decided not to go with that. It was mainly for ranked PvP, and it was like for high-end stuff where people would like be on the same gear level or whatever. I didn't really look into it too much. People didn't seem too disappointed with that one. The Heirloom tab has been pushed back. People really wanted that for 6.0, not happening. And now, of course, we have, Caraborn Bladespire, which was a huge deal, probably the biggest thing so far, and then now Tanaan Jungle. Every expansion has had cut features, like things were never implemented in tons of expansions, right? The Dance Studio, the Nerubian Zone, Aerial Combat, all of those are from Wrath of the Lich King. From Cataclysm you had Path of the Titans, Abyssal Maw, and the War of the Ancients Raid. All those things that were cut, I mean, they were all disappointing, like you don't like to lose things, but the expansions, well, Wrath still turned out okay, but it's kind of my fear that Warlords is gonna become another Cataclysm, where Blizzard ended up biting off more than they could chew, and they end up just cutting all these corners to rush the release. I mean, with Cataclysm, I could at least somewhat understand. They revamped the old world, and the zones they made for leveling 80 to 85, I mean, those were more expansive and more unique and grandiose than previous ones. Like, if you think about it, Vashj'ir was certainly more ambitious than something like Borean Tundra, and so I could kind of understand where they were going with Cataclysm, even if it didn't end up working out too well. Whereas with Warlords of Draenor, I don't get it. Like, what's going on internally that's causing so much to go wrong? That's causing all these delays and all these features to be cut or scaled back. Another thing is we've seen two pretty high-profile departures from Blizzard in the last year or so, like Ghostcrawler and Rob Pardo, both higher-ups in the company that have left, and there were several more designers who weren't as widely publicized that left and went to other companies. And of course people are always going to leave and go join other places, but I have to wonder if losing these key guys is either due to development issues in the expansion, or has caused them, or I wonder if there is definitely like a correlation there. I think there must be. And not only are things being cut, but the changes that are happening, they're not communicated very well with us. We seem to learn everything important through Twitter and data mine information on MMO Champion. And when the player base is frustrated with losing a feature, we get a blue post talking about how we're not helping the Draenor and the Frostwolves, they're helping us. Allure stated in the tweet that the Tanaan thing was not a new decision and was always the plan, and that it just wasn't communicated very clearly. Well, no shit. It was generally assumed that a zone shown at BlizzCon would be an actual zone at the launch of the expansion. I mean, aside from the Nerubian zone, like I mentioned, that I believe was discussed at BlizzCon 2007, I can't think of any full-fledged area or zone that was cut from an expansion's launch. There were some dungeons and raids, things like that were cut, but I don't think any full zone was delayed that much. Communicating this earlier would have made it feel a lot better. It definitely seems like a time-saving measure rather than an older design decision. Like, this seems like a new decision because it was not clarified at any point earlier on, and it was always just assumed that Tanaan Jungle would be a level 100 zone at launch, not delayed to another patch. They talked about patch content a little bit at BlizzCon, like Farallon, which has now been removed from the map entirely, but they said Farallon would be like patch 6.1 or something like that, but they never talked about Tanaan Jungle being in a patch later on. I mean, I'm not usually a conspiracy theorist looking for all the ways Blizzard lies to the player base, because usually I think they're fairly honest. Even when they make mistakes, I think they try to make the right decision, but here it just seems like the responses about all these issues that have been coming up, they've all been really half-assed lately, and like, come on, you guys can do better than this, is how I feel. Personally, I'm hoping more things aren't cut, and that the patch cycle is at least as good as Mists of Pandaria's first year. The second year has not been well, but the first year of Pandaria, everyone agrees, was pretty solid in terms of how much content, and the pace of it was nice. I mean, they have the biggest team ever working on WoW, supposedly. You would think that things would be running much more smoothly, but apparently not. I understand just throwing more people at the problem doesn't necessarily solve it, but you would think that, you know, because they've been building up this team for a while, that they would have time to get integrated and things would work smoothly, but it doesn't appear to be the case. Anyway, I'm done for today. If you enjoyed the video or found it informative, please leave a like, subscribe for more, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.